moved to the United Kingdom in 1980. His father was a poet and a communist, I believe. He left Pakistan as someone who was politically persecuted under the military ruler, General Zia. Nadeem, one of the most impressive things about Nadeem at that point of his life was that he arrived in England barely knowing a word of English. He grew up speaking Urdu and Punjabi, set about educating himself, went to university where he studied biochemistry, I believe, until the third year, dropped out to become a writer. That led to his first book, Season of the Rainbows, which was published in 1993, the story of a hard-working mullah in a small town in Pakistan. A decade later, came a book that I suppose was his breakthrough novel, Maps for Lost Lovers, which was set in northern England. That book won the Kiriyama and Encore prizes and was longlisted for the Man Booker. The Wasted Vigil was published in 2008, and that leads us to his new book, The Blind Man's Garden, which has just come out to, I'm glad to say, rave reviews in England so far. The book traces the journey of two foster brothers as they move from this part of Pakistan to Afghanistan in the weeks following the September 11th attacks in 2001. It's a particularly auspicious moment for us to have Nadeem here, who, apart from anything else we can say, is a writer who does not work in haste. His first couple of books were produced over a period of a decade each about, so presuming hopefully it won't be another decade before we get to speak to him again. But we're going to start off. Nadeem is going to read a short section from the book, and then we will start the conversation.
Thank you, Declan. Thank you everyone for coming here. I'm going to read to you the first chapter of the book, which is one of the shortest chapters in it. And since it's the opening sequence, I don't really have to say anything to set it up. It's almost as though you picked up the book and begun to read it. History is the third parent. As Rohan makes his way through the garden, not long after nightfall, a memory comes to him from his son Gio's childhood. A memory that slows him and eventually brings him to a standstill. Ahead of him, candles are burning in various places at the house because there is no electricity. Wounds are set to emit light under certain conditions. Touch them and the brightness will stay on the hands. And as the candles burn, Rohan thinks of each flame as an injury somewhere in his house. One evening, as he was being told a story by Rohan, a troubled expression had appeared on Gio's face. Rohan had stopped speaking and gone up to him and lifted him into his arms, feeling the tremors in the small body. From dusk onwards, the boy tried to reassure himself that he would continue to exist after falling asleep, that he would emerge again into light on the other side. But that evening it was something else. After a few minutes, he revealed that his distress was caused by the appearance of the villain in the story he was being told. Rohan had given a small laugh to comfort him and asked, "But have you ever heard a story in which the evil person triumphs at the end?" The boy thought for a while before replying. "No," he said, "but before they lose, they harm the good people. That is what I'm afraid of."
Just before this session started, we had to rush out to get a copy of Nadeem's book, but clearly that wasn't necessary for him to read. Tell me, Nadeem, where did this book come from?
First of all, the opening sequence, where the kid says to the father that, I'm afraid of what the villain will do before he's defeated. This was a thought that I had a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about how Pakistan is a 65-year-old country, but as a society, it's much older. I mean, as a nation, it is 65, and so it is robust enough to absorb, perhaps, some of the blows that come at it, and it will go on, and the Taliban will eventually disappear. So, something like that will eventually disappear. And 10, 20, 30 years later. And I thought, well, fine, that we mustn't lose hope and that they will disappear. But what if while they are in power, they kill my brother? They are gone, but I am still left with this hole in my life. So now the first sentence is, history is the third parent. So you begin with things like history and politics, but by the bottom of the page, when that short chapter finishes, you're no longer in the historical realm, you're in the philosophical realm, in that, how do I live a life? How do I get over grief? Sometimes it seems to me that I have never got over a single thing in my entire life. And so yeah.
Here in Pakistan, do you feel sometimes history is so present, everything that is unfurled, sometimes outside of this auditorium over the last number of years, people often look to history as a pointer for us.
Absolutely.
How do you see the relationship between what goes on in Pakistan today and history, and how does that inform your writing?
Well, that is the second part of your question, when you said that, so where did this entire book came from? I told you about the chapter. The book, I keep saying, we've lived through an extraordinary decade, beginning with 9/11 and ending with the Arab Spring. Muhammad Atta's suicide at one end, and Muhammad al-Bouazizi's suicide at the other end. Muhammad al-Bouazizi, if you recall, was the Tunisian fruit seller who set himself on fire in 2010 and died the following month in January 2011, and that sparked off the Arab Spring. And between that we had the war on terror, the call to jihad, the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan, Guantanamo Bay, Abu Ghraib, the murder of Benazir Bhutto, the assassination of Osama bin Laden. This clash between an incomplete understanding of the East and an incomplete understanding of the West seems to have taken place. Not long ago I was on Google and I typed Pakistan is, and the 4 autofill choices I was given were evil, stupid, dangerous, a terrorist country. Type in America is, and the 4 autofill choices you are given are not the world, evil, and not a country but a business. So I wanted to find a story with the blind man's garden that would hold as many of these elements that I just mentioned without losing shape as a work of fiction, because first and foremost it's a novel. It has to have the excitements and the techniques and what have you, and the possibilities that a work of fiction has that a work of non-fiction doesn't. And so I created 2 brothers, Gio and Mikal, and they are in love with the same woman. Her name is Nahid, and Gio is married to Nahid, and Mikal is secretly in love with Nahid. And Gio and Mikal then go off to war in October 2011, in October 2001, and they go to Afghanistan to help the wounded, as it were. And they don't go there to fight. And this was not me dodging the issue, because some people in certain countries would laugh and say that, oh, there were a lot of weddings in Afghanistan in the autumn of 2001. Every person we arrest from there says, I didn't come here to fight, I came here on a wedding, I came here to help the wounded, or what have you. So Gio and Mikal do go to help the wounded, but later as the book goes on, in part 2, I actually give you a handful of characters who say, that yes, we do want to fight America. Yes, this is unjust. So the instinct towards that reasoning and towards that fight is based in, for these people, in Islamic history. That they are taking examples from Islamic history.
Did you know anyone who made a similar journey like that after 2001?
I met a number of chaps, actually, and not just in Pakistan. I met them in England. You would be driving, you would be moving from place A to B, and you would get a taxi. And they would say, who are you, what do you do? And you tell them that I'm writing a novel about this. And any number of times, the young man turned to me and grinned and said, "Aapko ek baat bataun? Shall I tell you one thing?" And he says, "I went there." And then you talk. So that is not unheard of. But as I said, the impulse behind it all was to make fiction out of all this. It's this is my first novel in 20 years, set in Pakistan, and I wanted as much freedom as I could, fictionally speaking. And so I said, do I set it in Lahore? Do I set it in Gulzarmallah? Do I set it in Rawalpindi? Wherever. The places that I know, even Faisalabad. And in the end, I decided to create a fictional town called Heer, as in Heer Ranja. And for any number of reasons, Heer Ranja as a legend is, I think, about 400 years old. It's been available in various formats, first as a spoken thing, and then as a spoken kissa, and then various poetic treatments of it, one of them being Varis Shah's. And within that, there is a stanza which is my all-time favorite poem. It says, "Hira kiya jogiya jhoot bole." And
why here in that Ranja?
Sorry?
Why here? Why the female?
He actually says that because when the lover Ranja turns up at the doorstep and says that, and they have a conversation, and once she recognizes him, she actually speaks this beautiful stanza, which is deeply moving. And so the idea of, so it's quite a simple story. Boy meets girl, they can't be together, and in the end they die. The families object. But over the centuries, it has become imbued with it. It has become invested with any number of rebellious instincts. He herself is a symbol of heroic rebellion, in that she said to her clan and her family, "I will not accept the marriage that you have arranged for me. I want to be with this other person." And so much so that her clan, who still live in Jang, they frown upon her name being taken. Because for us, she might be a heroine, but to them, she's a dissolute woman or a badmash woman, because she actually didn't do what she was told. So there was they actually forbade the screening of the movie Heer Ranja in their town. So it will not happen. So when I heard that, I said, okay, you don't want her in your town, I'm going to give her an entire town. So
Is it John?
It's a Jang as in Lashkar Jangvi. So they're not ashamed of Lashkar Jangvi, they're ashamed of me. So that's interesting. And so, but to go back to the rebellious instinct, and that Udham Singh, who I'm sure most of you remember, who was a Jap, who in 1940 killed General O'Dwyer, who was the Lieutenant General of the Punjab during the 1990 Amritsar massacre, and Udham Singh held him responsible for what had happened. I think Udham Singh was a child during the 1999 massacre, in the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So he killed him, he found him, he tracked him, and he killed him. And in 1940 in London, he was put on trial. And during the oath, the required oath that is needed, he said, I don't want the Bible, I don't want the Gita, I don't want the Quran, I don't want the Guru Granth Sahib. Bring me a copy of Varis Shah's Heer. And that's it. And he did, a friend of his father. So I just wanted to connect myself to the legend and the stories of my own land. I have 11 more novels to write, and all of them will now take place in Heer. I have actually a map, I know the river.
You mentioned maps. Maps are not just in the novel, in the title of Maps for Lost Lovers, obviously, but it seems to be a recurrent theme in the way you work. It seems to me that maps offer a way for you to both negotiate your journey from here to the United Kingdom, and also a very disciplined way for you to work.
Absolutely. It's well, in my study I have a map for which I have taken. You said earlier that quoted me saying that I was made in the East and assembled in the West. I have a map. I cut out the shape of Pakistan and I cut out the shape of England, and I put them next to each other and I sellotape them together. So that is the country I live in. So the Grand Trunk Road, the GT road, goes through Lahore, passes through Gujranwala, goes up towards Peshawar, goes through the Khyber Pass, and emerges in Newcastle. So that is the land I see of mine. But coming to Pakistan,
Hello.
coming back to England, coming back to Pakistan for the first time, fictionally in this book, in 20 years. And for a long time I was very poor. Financially I was very poor. So when we left here at the age of 14 and we went to England, I had no money. I had to educate myself. I went to university and then I began writing. And writing is not something very lucrative immediately. Eventually you can make a living with it at the start. So I really thought I would never come back to Pakistan. That was it. Because we talk about these days anyone can get on a plane and we are, I'll see you next week in London and the following week you'll see me in New York. But, first of all, let's talk to the people who are sweeping these rooms. How easy it is for them to get to New York. These people are dying to get to Dubai, where they want to be menial laborers.
Hello?
Somebody doesn't want me to say it. And so we mustn't romanticize the idea of globalization too much, that it's very easy for us to move from place A to place B. So now I come here and, as I was saying to you earlier, and I was telling a friend the other day, that yesterday my first thought on waking, now that I come to Lahore quite frequently, last year I spent 5 months in Lahore, a total of 5 months in Lahore, and I am not afraid of making a mistake in Pakistan. I don't have to be on my best behavior in Pakistan. I hope that I do meet every situation in life with as much dignity and with as much honor and with as much intelligence that is required, that it requires. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you make a mistake. And elsewhere when I'm outside of Pakistan, if I make a mistake, my fear is always, Hamisha, oh God, through me people are judging Pakistan. They will say, you've made a mistake, this is what Pakistan is. So I have to be some ambassador. But when I'm here, if I make a mistake, you think, it's okay, I'm in Pakistan, nobody's going to judge Pakistan.
When you're here, do you feel people judge you because you're someone who's lived outside for so long? I mean, how do people receive you when you move about, socialise, when you're interviewing the people who help you to research, to provide the material for your books?
I think the thing is that, you mustn't mentally move away. The problem is that there are people who physically live in Pakistan, but mentally they are somewhere else. They're in the West. I know people who live in the West, like migrants, and my own parents, who live in the West, but mentally they've never left Pakistan. I was telling someone the other day, my mother, after 35 years in England, still says, it is very cold today here. meaning as opposed to Pakistan. After 35 years, she still stays. It gets really cold in October here. For her, she has never recovered from having to leave Pakistan. So it's always here and there. You know, the sky is blue here. You know, anything as opposed to where. And then you have to understand that she means Pakistan. And you say, how do people deal with it? I mean, you can come back and you can put airs and graces, and then people will be on the defensive that they are being judged. But if you show them that you know, I am actually one of you, I feel I'm one of you, and if you will let me, that if you feel that I am one of you, then that's fine. So I have no problems, of course. I mean, logistically, I have problems, but I have those in England. I don't know how to open a window, but that's to their relatives.
You have a place here in Lahore where you stay.
I have a small place.
Was Lahore a city you knew before? I mean, are you sort of...
No. Lahore came to me simply because I started coming here, and people I love and people who are my friends are here, and I'm forming relationships, friendships here. So this is the city that has been given to me. I keep saying again and again, and it comes out of Derek Walcott wrote this beautiful line about tourism and how the tourists would come to his island in Caribbean, St. Lucia. And he wrote a poem called, "But islands can only exist if we have loved in them." And for me, I always think that I could live anywhere if I loved someone. So, you know, it's so the idea of boundaries and nationalism, etc., that really is irrelevant to me. But these things are a reality, because to come here one needs a visa. So these things have to be. But I sleep deeper in Pakistan. I'm hungrier in Pakistan. So because I think, as I was saying earlier, I thought I had lost it, that this was gone now. I would never be able to afford £600-700 worth of a ticket back to Pakistan. So much so that these days you can go on the internet and type in people leaf, and Google Images will give you the shape of a people leaf.
Well, when you wrote your first couple of books, you hadn't...
I had no...
So was it in a sort of... were you reaching into your past to try and remember to draw on that?
Absolutely. I actually wrote to a cousin of mine to say, can you go to the chalk at the end of your road and from a people tree, take a leaf and put it in an envelope and send it to me, because I didn't know. I thought I will never see a bulbul again. I thought I will never see a rose-winged parakeet again. So that kind of thing. But now it's been restored, and this is a new relationship with Pakistan. And there are problems, but once again, Pakistan is a 65-year-old country. We have challenges, but they are the challenges of any developing nation, I feel. I think it's just that they are the problems of India, they are the problems of Mexico, they are the problems of certain countries in Africa, most countries in Africa. It's just that a few of Pakistan's problems have become linked with the security of Western cities. Therefore, every time a glass falls off a table in Pakistan, Pakistan is a failed state. And Pakistan is 65 years old. Can we please look at what... Can we please look at what America was like when it was 65 years old? Can we look at what England was like when it was 65 years old? Germany, France. And this is not me saying, let's be complacent. Not do anything. No, those places change because people go up and try to change it.
But I suppose in a way, that same interconnectedness of the global world that you're speaking about, the way that you say that you can move backwards and forwards between Pakistan and England now, that creates this impatience with Pakistan as a country that, like you say, even though it's only when America or England were 65 years old, this was in a time when they could develop, in a sense, in their own way, but these days people expect Pakistan.
Yeah, but then, I mean, I'm perfectly aware of that. You're absolutely right. But then, I don't think most of that is Pakistan's problem. I have to say, so some of this has to be sorted out by those places. I was writing writing The Blind Man's Garden. And I was a year into it. And I picked up a new novel by an American writer, very accomplished, very good American writer. And I was reading it, and something was troubling me. Something in the text was saying to me, acknowledge me, look at me. You know, something was waving at me, but I couldn't work out what was it that wanted my attention. And I kept reading, and about 2/3 of the way through, and it really came as a shock. And it was that novel was set in exactly the same month as my novel, which is set in Pakistan, which is set in Eid. That novel was set in America. And they were talking about the same issues, about 9/11 and how the thing was being processed. I can honestly say that these two books might have been talking about two different galaxies, never mind two different planets, never mind two different countries. So none of this, so as I said, we do have problems, and I'm not one of those people. And anyone who knows my work knows that I'm not hard on the difficult elements. We began with me telling you how the opening page appeared. It was my response to the time a friend and I had this quite detailed conversation. But as I said, some of that has to be sort of, no, you learn how to look at other places which are not yours, you know, and part of it is your responsibility too. Yeah.
Can we speak a little bit about your research techniques? You have this fascinating immersion techniques, akin somewhat to those of a method actor. For this book, I believe you went to Gadani, you enrolled as a shipbreaker for a period, to simulate the experience of being blind. You blindfolded yourself for 3 one-week periods. I think for previous books you've also undergone similar experiences. Why are these type of things important to you? Why are they important to your writing?
Well, specifically talking about The Blind Man's Garden and Mikhail's fingers are cut off by a warlock because this is the trigger finger. And he has captured him fighting against each other. So as a trophy, he cuts off his trigger fingers. So Mikhail doesn't have those fingers. And Rohan, the lead character, is going blind. And so I arranged, the book took 4.5 years to write, and I arranged meetings with people who were visually impaired, who were blind. But I don't have the kind of character, I don't have the kind of temperament where I could just meet someone and after about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, or even 15 minutes, begin to ask them intimate questions. If you have a scar here, I know that any number of people would just ask you, what's that scar? How did you get this? But I would be even apprehensive about asking about that because for all I know, I am studying about trauma. I don't know how you got that scar. So for about a year I arranged meetings with blind people and I just could not bring myself to ask the questions that I wanted to ask. So in the end I needed stuff, I read books, but again I couldn't find the books that were detailed enough about the everyday life. So in the end I said, okay, I think I'm going to have to do it myself. So I shut my eyes and I lived like that for a week, 24/7. And
was it dangerous? Were you worried about hurting?
The first time after the 7-week period, when I took off my tapes, I went to the mirror and I was covered in bruises because during my face, my neck, my chest, my belly, my legs, my shoulders, because I had been bumping into things during the previous week. And without my knowing, my body had been keeping a record of what had been happening to me. And it was as though I had been assaulted without my knowing it. But the things that I then learned, so I did it again the following year, and then I did it again the following year. So as you said, for a period of 3 weeks during the writing of this book, I was without...
No respite?
No. Some people say, did you ever go cheat? Anything? cheat who? Nobody was making me do it. I wanted to do it myself. And but then having said that, the things I learned were so essential that I then realized that I really would not even have known how to ask a blind person that. I really needed to be blind myself. Let me rephrase that. I wasn't blind. I had the choice at any given moment to take off my tapes. Exactly. Which a real blind person can't. So I don't mean to disrespect anyone. So one day accidentally my hand touched something warm. And my head flooded with the color red. And now Rohan says in the novel, when I want to remember the color red, I will touch something more. Then one day I heard rain. And I slowly made my way to the window and I opened the window and put out my hand into the rain. And when the raindrops fell onto the palms of my hand, the first image in my mind was the twinkling of stars here and there. And now Rohan says, and when I want to remember the twinkling of stars, I will put out my hand into the rain. So that kind of thing, nobody could have done. And so, again you said these are extreme methods. Do you understand that there was no other way for me to do this? And again, when Miguel's fingers are cut off, Miguel is a smoker, he smokes. I wanted to know if he could smoke without you, because normally people smoke sometimes like this. And at one point Miguel has to fire a gun, even though his fingers have been cut off. Who could I have asked this? So I taped down my trigger fingers like this, and then I saw what can I do, and I made a list of what can I do. Can I write? Can I fire a gun? I went down and bought a toy gun, which was the proper size, and I opened it up and I filled it with metal to make it as heavy as a real gun. And he has to snatch a gun from someone's holster and fire it. So I had to do that. I had to make it. Now you tell me who I could have asked. So there is a reason. Otherwise, you go and talk to people, and you observe people. That's a reason.
During these 1 week periods, were you on your own, or did people come and visit you?
I live alone.
But did people come and visit you? Did you have
I
contact?
discouraged them.
As you're sitting there on your blindfold and practicing your trigger acting.
Exactly. I discourage people to come and visit me anyway.
Tell me about that. How important is isolation for you? Famously, you're something of a recluse when you're writing. Someone told me that you learned about the events of September 11th on September 20th.
I was working because I don't come from an affluent background. I am not from a rich family who could have said to me, sit here for a year and write your book. I'm from a mohalla in Gujranwala here, and I'm from a mohalla in the north of England. I'm what is known as an inner city neighborhood. And so it would have been nice if somebody had said that to me, that do this, that you have a year in which you can write your book. But it didn't happen. So what I would do I would do 2 or 3 jobs. I worked at the cinema, ticket party, so those people who take your ticket and tear it up, I did that. I worked behind a bar, I worked as a bin man. So during those, let's say a month, 5 or 6 weeks, I wouldn't write, I would just make notes and I would save as much money as possible. I was too tired anyway because doing 3 jobs, 3 or 4 jobs, trying to get as much money as I could during this 5 or 6 week period. And then for the next 6 weeks, I would not do anything but write, because now I could afford to feed myself, the room would be warm, etc., etc. So during that time, in order to, to this day, I actually feel guilty for eating if I haven't written that thing. I think, why are you doing this? It's that I say to myself, you don't deserve this. Where is this fuel going? What do you want to do with this fuel if not for writing? And so during those 6 weeks, I wouldn't do anything accept rights, I would close the windows. So much of doing that is for lost lovers. I was telling someone that I was trying a sequence set in towards the end of my 6 weeks of isolation. Set in, I think it's either the other way around. It was a chapter set in summer, meaning the birds were out, the leaves were green, etc., etc. And then when my 6 weeks finished and my money ran out, I now had to go out again. I opened the door and it was snowing, and I remember being shocked, thinking, why is it snowing? Because it is actually summer. Because in my mind it was still summer. And so these things are necessities. I don't mean to make a big deal out of it. And again, this thing about the eyes and that thing, because no amount of putting yourself through difficulties and gaining material for research is going to be of use to the reader if it isn't presented in the book in a meaningful way. You know, I could have taken all this research and just given it to you in a clumsy way. You know, it has to be integrated into the So, in a way, what the writer goes through in order to write a novel really isn't important. You don't have to know a shred of information about the writer's life at the most basic level to appreciate the book.
Do you still write longhand, or do you use a computer?
I try to write longhand. It is a nice process. I like the content with it.
A lot of writers these days speak about the difficulty of the internet, how invasive it is in their lives, their difficulty. How do you manage that? Or do you manage it?
I use the internet just for email and for book buying. I don't do Facebook. Somebody explained to me what Facebook was. They had to explain to me. I don't know. Rusty who is the chief organizer of this thing, sent an email saying, please go to Twitter and publicize LLF. And I had to, and I said, what is Twitter? And he says, oh, it's a place where you go to tweet. And I said, what is tweet? And I thought it was something official I had to register or something. I said, I've heard of it, but Messi Gappo, Twitter. Chin 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 chin.
In the writing itself, there's a very striking blend of both beauty and brutality, often twinned in the same paragraph and the same material. I read a review that Pankaj Mishra wrote about this book, about Landsman's Garden, where he said his novels don't ration their bleakness. He writes at what Pasternak called misery's full tilt. And indeed, in the book, there's a sort of an accumulation of chaos and killings and very beautiful descriptions of devastation. But, well, sometimes that's a little unsettling for the reader. Why do you feel the need to...
Well, this is interesting you say that, because I was just telling a friend the other day. When the book was finished and it was sent out to various publishers around the world, and it came to India and some readers in Pakistan, and it went to America, so the manuscript was doing the rounds more or less in various countries around the world. Invariably, the response in the West was, this is a very brutal book. This is a very bleak book. This is a very dark book. Let's call it a dark book. Invariably, the response from India and Pakistan was, this is a very beautiful book. This is not me saying that we are used to the violence. We are saying that yes, we have challenges, but that is not what we are. That is not all we are. And I didn't make that up. That actually happened. So I can show you the reports. In the West, that is all there is. So now, when the Hazaras were killed and plague on the house of the people who carry out the massacres and who are carrying out the killing of the Shias, and 1,000 plagues on their houses. But any number of, I'm sure, and then there were dharnas and various cities shut down. I'm sure that any number of Western citizens here received anxious emails from the people that they, which is not to say that we too weren't anxious, that we too were not going through anxieties and mourning and what have you. But it's again goes back to the point of view that that's not who we are. And to say that beauty and brutality, that is the reason. That I think instinctively might be the reason. I don't actually ration out anything. If I do, it is the basic storytelling techniques that you have to know when to push the reader in that direction, and you have to know, don't push him too far. I actually got a letter when The Wasted Vigil was published, very soon after The Wasted Vigil was published. We are talking, I think, about a fortnight. I got a letter from a reader saying that you made me care for Marcus. Marcus was the main character. I loved him. And then you did this terrible, awful thing to him. And you cut off his hand. She says, I will never pick this book up again. How dare you do this to me? And I was upset, but then I thought, well, is this a compliment? That she's saying that I made her believe in Marcus so much that she actually felt the very meat and membrane of who he was. And so that is what you're trying to do in that. Once again, I've spoken about this before. This is why I think people respond to novels differently than they do to non-fiction. In that, in fiction, you create a character from the ground up. You say, this is what he looks like. This was his school days were like. That was his best friend. His favorite color is this. His favorite food is this. This is the person he loved. This is the person he's not uncomfortably. This is the person he's not uncomfortable with, or is comfortable with. All of these things that the reader actually himself has an equivalent of in their life. And then you do something to this character that you have created. Then the reader will feel the violence of violence. You know, to say that during the Zia regime, X number of people were whipped in the streets. You know, as you do in non-fiction. Now, this isn't really a non-fiction person's job to actually write his job. To an extent, it can be, but normally it isn't. To show you what it feels like when a lash lands on your back. But as a novelist, I can create a person and make the reader fall in love. And then on page 70, when you are totally in love, identifying with it, or you actually know, then you take him to a Maidan and strap him to a scaffold, and then you have a guy lashing him. The reader would feel that. And that is what, and this is why I think fiction can be more powerful. As I said, there are any number of great non-fiction works. We actually do that work too. But they work on a different level.
It's a different thing. Unfortunately, we are running out of... Sure. Yeah, I was just about to say, we're running out of time, unfortunately. So
sorry, I was starting to...
Not at all. I just want to ask you something very quickly before we turn to the questions. I understand you're now writing a novel about blasphemy. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Blasphemy is theory. Here in down the road from the Governor's House, which Salman Taseer will have survived. This is something that's particularly resonant. Can you just tell me very quickly about that, and then we'll turn to the
The novel came to me on 4th of January 2011. When I got up that day, I didn't have that novel. By the end of that day, I had the novel. I said, I'm going to write about this. My instinct always is to find a subject matter. Various writers say, a character appears to me and then I make a story around it. Or a storyline appeared and I went with it. Or an image appeared and I wanted to explore it and eventually it became a novel. With me, it's always the subject matter. I wanted to write about the last 10 years in Pakistan. I wrote The Blind Man's Garden. I wanted to write about female infanticide. I wrote Layla in the Wilderness. I wanted to write about Afghanistan. I wrote The Wasted Vigil. I wanted to write about honor killings. I wrote Maps to Lost Lovers. And then I go and find characters which will best help me animate all the various aspects within that subject matter, will generate the possibilities, the storytelling possibilities within that subject matter. So for me, it is always, so when I say, people say, well, you have 11 more novels, right? But what do you mean? And you say, well, pick up the newspaper, and there's a thing about blasphemy, and you think, I am upset about this. This is killing me. And so what do? I said, well, my way of coping is that I will write about it. I will put it on the page. And that, the page is the strongest material in the world, I always say. There's a brilliant poem by Czeslaw Milosz, I'll very quickly say it. It says, and it's a poem he wrote about Stalin. You who wronged a simple man, bursting into laughter at the crime, kept a pack of fools around you to mix good with evil, to blur the line. Do not feel safe. The poet remembers. You can kill one, but another is born. The words are written down, the deed, the date. That is what I see my job.
This lady here.
I think you guys did a really fantastic job. I really enjoyed this session. What I wanted to ask was, you seem to spend a lot of time in isolation. And I mean, is it all you know, or does it ever get lonely for you?
Do you feel lonely?
Next question.
Where's the microphone? Okay, we'll turn over here first.
Nadeem, it's a pleasure listening to you. Once your book is written, how closely do you work with your editor?
Very closely. I mean, editors are very important, and some people are always, I'm sure you know, and those of you who are in the publishing world here know, people are always saying that there aren't any good editors left, nobody edits anymore. I seem to be lucky. My editors work with me on every page, and I have.
Did it significantly change your mind?
Well, I mean, ultimately, when so my editor in the States is Sunny Mehta, who works with Toni Morrison, Kazuo Ishiguro, Michael Ondaatje. So when he sends us a suggestion, you have to think that yes. But ultimately, even he knows that it is my book. So in Maps to Lost Lovers, he suggested that I alter the chapters the way the book opens, then make the first few episodes later and the later episodes put at the front. And I just kept saying to him, this doesn't work for me. And he said, well, try it. And so I tried it, and I said, here it is, but this, I'm not happy with this. And he said, well, Nadeem, it's your book. That was just a suggestion. And I couldn't work out why I hadn't liked the last sequences coming first and the first sequences going last. And then I realized, once the book was published, it took months, and I kept thinking, the stuff is there, all the writing was there, it's just that the thing was turned back to front. And then I realized that if I had done it back to front, a woman would not appear in the novel until much later. And in all my novels, a woman has to appear on the first few pages. And even in my real life, I panic if I don't see a woman.
Okay, this gentleman here.
And I think it might be via the mic. And I think it might be something like people who are autistic and people who are not well mentally, children especially, they're told that if you get lost, go and ask a woman. That don't go and ask a man. It's so yeah. What was your question?
Yes, I am Mark. The title of the novel is The Blind Man's Garden. The title sounds symbolic. Please explain how is it may be symbolic.
The garden is Pakistan. At the beginning of chapter 3, I tell you that the boundary wall of the garden is draped by poet's jasmine, which is Pakistan's national flower. And the school, so this is the story of Pakistan actually. And the blind man at one point I dressed him up as Jinnah. I say that he's wearing a Jinnah cap and he's wearing a Jinnah sherwani. So for me, this was the story of Pakistan, in that here we have this garden which was based on the best ideas and best examples of what Islam was, ideally speaking, and how over the years, over the decades, it became corrupted. And maybe we need to go back. And so at the center of the garden is a school, and the school is now called Ardent Spirit. But for the first 2.5 years, it was called Pure Land, which is Pakistan. But I thought I shouldn't make it too obvious. That if the reader wishes to read the symbolism of poet Jasmine, be Pakistan's national flower. So it's Pakistan.
Thank you. I have just purchased it before entering the hall. I will read it thoroughly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we've just got time for one or two more quick questions. Who else is here? This lady over here, please. So the lady's asking, does Mikhail die in the end?
No spoilers. I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you.
This lady here, is that you?
Don't worry, I won't tell you.
How does the naming of a book happen? Do you write a book and then the name emerges, or does the name come first, or does the editor choose the name?
No. Editors don't choose. There are some writers who like to do that. No. With me, a title is part of what the book is, and I can't really tell you how it happens. The blasphemy novel is called 1,000 Miles by Moonlight. Chandni mein 1000 saal ka safar, 1000 mil ka safar, and it just comes out. It's the text that tells you where the possibility is, and you have to trust the text.
All right, that's all we've got time for. Thank you all very much. You've been a wonderful audience.
Thank you everyone for joining us, and for the delegates present in the hall right now, we have arranged lunch for you. It is on my right. Can I